Hello and welcome to my channel. If this is your first time here, my name is Millie, and usually I talk about a lot of indie brands and some mainstream brands, as well as lots of shiny, shimmery, and shifty things. But today I have a brush review video, and the brand I'm talking about today is Spectrum, and they have a lot of brushes, but I'm mostly focused on the eye brushes, so this is not a full kind of brand review, just trying out some eye brushes because I heard lots of great things. And I've only done one video previously which featured my favorite Sigma eye brushes, so I will link that down in the description box in case you're interested in seeing that one. I think that one was from back in like November or something of last year, and I thought I would do another one. I bought these a couple of months ago. It's been probably more like 4 or 5 months, and I've been just trying them out, so I feel like I have a pretty good feel on how I feel about them. And I just wanted to mention I am extremely picky with brushes, and when I mean extremely, I mean like really picky. The main thing that matters to me is really shape and size. Having hooded eyes, I prefer very small brushes, especially blending brushes, and I'm gonna kind of get into that during the demo to kind of show you what I'm talking about. And I will be showing you each of these brushes in relationship to my eye size, because I think that's really the best visual to help you understand the size relationship between a brush and your lid. The thing is, there's a lot of just average, pretty large blending brushes out there, and it just seems like nobody really thought about its purpose and figured out what is really the best shape and size for each part of the eyeshadow application. So there's just a lot of really huge brushes, and just because it's a big fluffy blending brush doesn't necessarily mean it's perfect and it will be great for your eye shape. So this is what I'm gonna really get into, and I'm probably gonna talk about this pretty much every brush review. I plan on also doing my Refer brushes, my Sonia G brushes, and maybe even my Wayne Goss brushes like way in the future, but I'm thinking of doing a Refer next, so let me know if that's something you would be interested in. I've had those for almost a year now, I think, so I've really got to play around with them a lot. So next I'm going to take you through each of the brushes, and then we're going to get into the demo portion where I use each of these brushes so you really can see how they work, how they look against my eye, how they blend out and distribute eyeshadow. I think it's very important. And then at the end I'll just kind of give you my summed up thoughts. So if that's something you're interested in seeing, please keep watching. First brush up is the A18, which is a really large flat brush. Next up is a B03, which is a flat top, almost buffing brush. It has a rounded shape. Then we have the A27, which is a pencil brush. A16, which is a small, short, flat brush. Then B10, which is a small blending brush. B11, which is also a small blending brush, but this one is a little bit more rounded and a little bit more pointed. Then we have the A12, which is another blending brush, but it's shorter and denser. Then the B07, which is a larger blending brush that's rounded at the top. And then the B06, which is also a larger, fluffy blending brush, and this one has a more flat top. First, I'm going to go in with the A18 brush, and I'm going to be spreading out the eye primer, and I will link all the products I'm using in the description box below, because this is going to be all about the brushes. And this brush is very large and a little bit stiff, so that's why I like using it for this purpose. And then I'm going in with the B10, and I'm going right in the crease, and I'm just blending back and forth with some circular motions as well. And then with the B11, I'm going to place a little bit of a deeper shade right in the crease, because this brush has a little bit more of a point than the other one. And I absolutely love how small both of these brushes are. This is really my ideal size. Then to deepen up the outer corner, I go in with the A12, which is a really nice, small, dense brush to pack on some color. And then to blend out the edge, I'm going in with the B11 brush. I don't like using the A12 to blend out because it is stiffer, so it likes to kind of move things around versus really blending them out. And then the B11 brush is really great for cutting the crease. So because it is so small, it gives you a lot of control versus going in with a large brush that covers a really large area. And then I'm also going to use this brush to apply shimmer in the center of my lid. Now, I don't love it for this purpose because I do have to keep dipping back in. It is small, so it covers a smaller surface area like I just mentioned. And for my shimmers, I usually cover a lot of my lid, so I like using a larger brush, but it is great for adding shimmer into the inner lid. Then on the other eye, I wanted to show you a comparison between the larger blending brushes and the smaller brushes. So this is the B06, which is much larger than the other brushes I just used on the other eye. And so you can see it covers a pretty large area and it just spreads it out much further up than when I use a smaller brush. And then going in with B07 to pack on that deeper shade right in the crease. And as you can see, because this brush has a little bit more of a taper than the B06. And again, going in with the A12, nothing different here, packing on the lid shade, but this time I'm going in with B07, which is one of the larger blending brushes to blend out the corner, and I have much less control. You can easily bring it out too far with a large blending brush like this. And the last brush I'm going to be using is the B03, and that's to blend out the concealer under my eyes. I'm using the ColourPop concealer. I love the shape of this brush. It really intrigued me on the website when I saw it, and I knew I had to try it out, and I really love it. It works really great and really quick. And then lastly, I'm going to connect the outer corner with the A27 brush. This one is a little too large for my preference of pencil brushes, and those are all the brushes in action. So now let me just run through the brushes really quickly. The B03 brush is really great for under eye concealer. I'm sure you could also use it to apply an eyeshadow base or something like that, but I really love it for the under eye. I think it's a really great size, and it's almost like a large stippling but like thicker foundation brush, but much smaller, so it fits under your eyes. So I love that one. I've been using that one, and I've actually been reaching for that one a little bit more than my Artiste brush. I think it's oval 6 or oval 5, which when I first got that one, I couldn't put it down, so I've been actually using this one a lot too. Next up, the A18 brush. Now this one is pretty large. I wouldn't necessarily cut the crease with this. I think it would be a little large, at least for my hooded lids, so I would just keep that in mind. But it is really great for spreading out eye primer or an eye base all over your lid. I think it would also be great for under eye concealer. I haven't really used it for that. I'm not really sure why. Probably should have tried that, but I'm sure it would work for that too. It is a bit stiffer, it's a little thicker, so that's kind of the reason that I wouldn't really use it to cut the crease. I personally prefer something much smaller and much flatter. Then we have the A27 brush. This one is a small tapered pencil brush. Now personally, it's a little too long for my taste, and also it's a little thick. When I use this for applying eyeshadow underneath my lower lash line, it's just a little bit too much. It kind of brings it down too far down for my personal taste on my lids, so I don't love this brush. I don't know if I would recommend it. You could also use it for inner corner highlights or to deepen up the outer corner of your lid. Next up, we have the A16 brush. This is such an amazing brush. I highly recommend this one. It is just the perfect length and the width and then the roundness. I really love this one for cutting the crease. It will just give you so much control. I don't love it for applying shimmer all over the lid because it is a little small, so I do find myself having to keep dipping back in and really making sure I spread it out. So I do prefer a bigger brush for that, but it's great for laying down shimmer on the inner lid portion like I did in this video. Because it is so small and is so tapered, you can really focus where you put the shimmer. So if you want to do any intricate looks where you use a bunch of shimmers, I would definitely recommend this brush for that. So next up, we're gonna go from the largest blending brush to the smallest blending brush. So the largest blending brush I got is the B06, and this one is basically kind of a flat top blending fluffy brush, and it has really long bristles, and this one is just a bit on the too large size. It's like just right in between okay and too large for my taste, so I do use it, but this is when I really want to kind of blow something out. It's not really precise at all, especially on my lids and my size, so I don't really reach for this one as much as the smaller brushes that they have, but it is really nice. It's very soft, blends really well, so I would still recommend this one if the size is okay to you. Next up is the B07 brush. This one is pretty much the same thing, except it's kind of rounded at the top and it has quite long bristles, and this one is also pretty much on the verge of being okay, but also kind of too big. I don't think you can get like really focused looks with this. This is also great for like if you wanted to lay something down right in the crease, you can definitely get up in there, but it will kind of blend it out pretty far away from where you laid it down because it is so fluffy and it is so kind of large. It has a pretty big diameter, so I don't love this one. I still use it. It's really soft and it does its job. I just prefer something smaller. Next up is the B10 brush. This one has really long bristles, a flat top. It's basically a smaller version of the B06 brush. So same kind of effect, slightly shorter bristles and also much smaller diameter. And I love this brush for really starting out and just not getting the eyeshadow too high up. If that's what I'm aiming for, obviously I don't always do that. I do a lot of looks, a lot of variety of looks where some are more blown out and some aren't. But when I do want a little bit more of a precise application, this is really great. I love starting this out. I think this is a great beginner brush. It gives you the control on how far up you want to bring the eyeshadow if you apply it in the crease, for example. So I absolutely love this brush. I would definitely want to get more of these. This is a really, really great brush. Next up is the B11 brush, and this is basically a smaller version of the B07. They're pretty much the same in terms of the shape. I think B07 is a little bit more like tapered to a point, but I much prefer the B11. It's much smaller. This one is really, really great for also just really getting into that crease. Not as much maybe blending out because it isn't like fluffed out this way, if that makes sense. But it's also really great for when you want to blend out, you know, a deeper shade on the outer corner, just having that control of not bringing it out too far so you can really focus it in that area. And lastly is the A12 brush. And this is a very small, almost pencil brush, but it is a blending brush. It's got pretty short bristles compared to the other brushes. It is pretty dense. It's pretty much rounded, not really too pointy, and I think because the bristles are shorter, it is a bit stiffer. So I want to use it for the same purpose that I like to use the B11 for the outer kind of blending out the edges of a deeper shade. And so because it is stiffer, I prefer to use it as more of a kind of packing brush due to its size. So I don't love it for that, but I love it for packing, and I think you could also really like get up in the crease with this and just pack on some color there. And there I think you could even blend a little bit, but again, this is just a really great size for the outer lid. And so that brings us to the end of the video. Those are all the brushes that I have tried from Spectrum. And let me know in the comments below if you've ever tried Spectrum Collections brushes, and if you like them, how do you feel about them? Do you have any recommendations? From what I remember when I was shopping these seemed like the smallest kind of eye brushes that they have, but maybe they've released something new I haven't really checked. But I would definitely recommend that you check them out. These are some really great quality brushes. Absolutely love them. They're very soft. I feel like I had a great experience since the first time I used them, which kind of says a lot. And so that's everything for this video. I will put up some of my other videos up on the screen in case you want to keep watching. Thank you so much, and I hope to see you next time.